to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
Hey everybody, welcome. It's Tom Dutta like butter. Welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show. Excited to be back with you. First of all, we are live streaming. What does that mean? We are live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, and now Rumble. So welcome everyone. I got to tell you, the show is booked out months, and it's because of, well, you watch. The ratings have gone up. We found out just last week that through rating agency that we are in the top 5% of podcasts worldwide in terms of downloads. You never know that as a host unless somebody tells you, so it's gratifying. But again, thank you very much for the support of the show. I've got great guests that are appearing over the next few months, so stay tuned. Just want to tell you that here in Vancouver, the West Coast, it's beautiful and sunny. We've had a stretch, but we do say a prayer for what's happening in different parts of the world. We know about some of the forest fires in the United States, and it's top of mind because my guest is from the United States today. On that note, let me tell you a bit about her before we bring her on. Her name is Theresa Contaxis. I think I said that right. She can correct me. She is an inspiring author, and I'll tell you she's inspiring because she inspired me with this thing, The Littlest Sailboat. It's on the screen there if you're watching the video. What a beautiful book. We'll talk a lot about that today. She's a reverend, a lifelong seeker of spiritual growth. Her book, The Littlest Sailboat, A Journey of the Soul, is an elegant metaphor of life's trials and triumphs, resonating with readers of all ages. And from battling inner sadness to discovering profound truths, her journey is a testament to the power of faith, self-discovery, and love. Boy, just those words, those are the things we need in the world a lot. And she has a background in music and business, and life took a transformative turn after a pivotal spiritual retreat, which she'll tell us about. Her teachings inspire us to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth and see ourselves as interconnected beings within this, what she calls the vast ocean of life. And I just want to read you one more thing before we bring Theresa on the screen. I always ask the guests, why do you think the show narrative, which is based on the hero's journey, everyone, which is we go seeking when something changes in life. Sometimes we go seeking and we look for something. Then we come back to teach and make an impact on the world. And so I asked Theresa, why do you think you're fit for the show? And, she wrote me a couple of things. I'll just read you something out here. This was really interesting. The last part of this writing is, as all of us are part of the ocean, we are not alone. We not only have each other, we are part of each other. We are part of everything. We all go through the journey differently, but end up in the same place. I think that is just so wonderful. So welcome to the show, Theresa Contaxis.
Hey there.
It's good to have you here. You tell us again where you're at, because you told me, but the audience wants to know.
I'm in South Carolina. We recently moved here, and we're in the Bluffton area, and I really do enjoy this area. It's a beautiful area.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, we've got some stories to tell here. The first thing I'm going to ask you is that if you're ready to go into what I call Plato's garden to have some conversations about things. Are you ready to do that?
Yes.
All right. Well, if you're ready to do that, I'm going to set this up, and so stand by. All right. Watch this. 3, 2, 1. Oh, we are now in Plato's garden. Theresa, let's tell everybody a little bit about Plato's. Now, if you can't see the screen, we'll just talk it out here. But Plato was an Athenian philosopher during the classical period in ancient Greece, founder of the Platonic school of thought in the academy. Theresa, you can see the picture there. It kind of looks like Aristotle and Plato. They kind of used to walk around and just talk. And the academia was the first institution of higher learning in the Western world, apparently. And let's change the slide to this. So what we'll be doing is we'll be weaving your narrative or talking through 3 different areas. So Theresa, the words on the screen are macro. So we might talk about what was happening in the world around you as you created your public work, as you evolved in your life. We might talk about mezzo, which is what was happening in the sector. I call it industry, that influenced that public work. And your sector, to me, might be being in the media, being an author. You're certainly in the faith, in the industry of teaching through faith. And the third word is micro. This is my favorite, and I think a big part of your story, because this is about you. What was happening with Theresa, and we hope to go back, even right back to early childhood, to get a better understanding. Last thing I want to tell you on this, Theresa, is if we talk through all these, the audience can mesh together a whole bunch of different thoughts. And when we sit back and think about that, we can sometimes find a deeper meaning in what you're about. So does that make some sense to you?
I'm good.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to do me a favor and hold up that beautiful book that you have there. Let's full screen you. So, wow. Tell us the title. Just read it out loud.
The Littlest Sailboat, A Journey of the Soul.
That's amazing. Thank you for showing us that. We'll bring it back on screen in a little bit. So to get us going, I'm just going to throw a thought out there, and then we'll just riff on it back and forth. I think I'll go into micro first. And so you've shared deeply about your personal transformation in this book and in some of your writing, and you talk about moving from sadness to joy. Tell us about the defining moment when you realized this wind of spirit was guiding you.
Well, it actually started, I was agnostic, I would say. And I was trying to quit smoking. I had 2 kids already.
Yeah.
And I didn't smoke when I was pregnant, but I'd always start again. And I was like, okay, I want done with this forever.
And I gotta ask, cigarettes, right?
So I went to learn self-hypnosis. So I went to a hypnotist, and as I was doing it, it was the most wonderful experience I had as of that point. Sorry about the noise in the background. It'll stop soon. So I went there, and so I'm sitting there, my eyes closed, and with behind my eyes, I saw like this bright light coming through the window. Now, whether there was a cloud and the sun came out, but then out of that, it was like the window opened and a dove flew into it didn't really happen, but this is the vision I'm having. And a dove landed on my shoulder. And at that moment, for the first time in my life, I felt total peace.
Wow.
Like it's described in the Bible, a peace that is beyond any understanding.
Yeah. That's incredible. And about how many years ago was that moment for you that you visualized?
Oh my gosh. So my daughter's in her mid-30s, so probably like 37 years ago, 36 or 37.
Oh, goodness. Wow. And it's funny because you tell the story as so vividly like it was yesterday. By the way, you have 2 children. What's your daughter's first name and the other one?
Well, I have 3 children which we're about to get to, because that led to a 3rd child in a very weird way. Why
don't you keep going then? Just tell us more.
So it was so profound that I said, okay, I'll tell you what. If this is true, if there's really more, what I need is for that exact same thing to happen one more time. So about 3 weeks later, I was laying in bed, and this time my eyes were open, and a bright light came through the window. A dove came through, landed on my shoulder, and I went, okay, I'm in, hook, line, and sinker. And then I found out I was pregnant with my 3rd.
Oh my goodness. Well, critical thinking here, you can just take those fact patterns and put them together and come up with some really interesting thoughts. That's pretty incredible. I just want to talk about the book for a minute with you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just pulling a piece of paper out here. I actually am excited because I got a copy of it, everybody. It's a beautiful book. And what is kind of cool is it's actually illustrated with, it's hard to see it with my lights, but with some beautiful, I think those are watercolors, right?
Yes.
And you when I give it back to you, tell us a bit about who did that. But here's some research I did on the book, and I read the book cover to cover. So I just want to tell you I love it. My overview is this. I just wrote this, and then you can just tell us from your point of view. Everyone, this book, The Littlest Sailboat, A Journey of the Soul, the author with us, Theresa. It was published by IP Books in 2022. It's a journey of the soul. It's an allegorical tale about self-discovery, growth, and spiritual awakening, narrated through the perspective of a humble sailboat. This story navigates themes of self-worth, emotional resilience, and alignment with a higher purpose. Through what I think are whimsical metaphors, Theresa delves into profound human journey of overcoming fear, jealousy, loneliness to uncover self-love, inner peace, and the joy of connection with the divine. Here's the themes I found in it, Theresa. And I'll give it back to you. Self-acceptance, spiritual surrender, emotional healing, interconnectedness. So, I threw a lot at you there. Why don't I just give it back with a question? And that is, this story of the littlest sailboat. The sailboat learns to release its barnacles through connection with the ocean and other boats. So how does this metaphor relate to your own experience of finding healing and peace? And what were the pivotal waves in your journey taking us back?
Okay, so right after that experience, I called somebody who was a friend of my parents who I knew was religious, Catholic, and spiritual.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I got to do something. And he invited me on this retreat, and I went. And it was so eye-opening. I felt the love of God for the first time, like really knew it.
And where was that retreat, by the way?
It was called Emmaus, but this was called Pi.
Yeah.
Emmaus was first, and it was for teenagers. And so many of the parents were saying, my kid came home a different person. What was this all about? So they did Pi, which is parents interested in Emmaus.
Right.
So I went to that one as an adult.
I see.
And it was when I felt that love, that moment, it was so short. But at that moment, I said, wow, if I could do anything with my life, if I can share with everybody that feeling for it doesn't even have to be a second. It would start changing everybody's life because you just have this moment of knowing how much you're loved. And it's the most incredible feeling you can have. And even though we don't feel it every moment, just feeling it once carries you through and through because you want more and more and more.
Yeah. Back to the book again, everybody. We're here with the author of the book, The Littlest Sailboat. I love to read out loud here, so we might have some fun with you and do a quick author reading where you ask you to full screen. You ask you to read a page or two, then you can repurpose that for your use. But on page 14 and 15, everybody, just to give you a sense of this, how much I enjoyed it, and it's an easy read. I'm just going to read it. I also saw rowboats, which I was happy to meet. And this is through the eyes of the littlest sailboat. I thought I was special compared to a rowboat. I liked having rowboats in my life, not only because I felt special, but I was able to tell them what to do, blah, blah, blah. But here's the part that got me to my heart. Later on in my journey, I realized words like anger, fear, jealousy, greed, shame began to appear on my sail. Actually, it was not the words themselves, but the energy of the words carried. I held that energy within me instead of allowing it to just pass by. So one of the things that I was curious about was, I know from my own story, I come from a childhood and I had certain development. Mine was different than some people. My dad left home when I was young, and he was an addicted parent, etc. But I kept thinking to myself, you're born into this world golden, I believe, and innocent as a child. Yeah. Tell us about your early development. These feelings you talk about that you had in your life and then through this experience has shifted. What happened earlier in life for you?
I think I was extremely sensitive as a young kid. So I felt a lot of different energies. And so I became the peacemaker in the house. Like I knew how to back off and stay quiet because everything else was going crazy. Now, it wasn't, everybody's childhood has difficulties. Yeah. And just as mine did, I had some really bad problems and some wonderful things. But we take, it's almost like brainwashing, and that's such a big negative word, but I don't really mean it that way. We're little and we take the advice of everything that's coming at us as that's the truth.
Yes. Yes.
But it's not. It's somebody's version of truth.
It's true.
But there is only one truth. But learning it, you have to first separate from everything you've been taught.
Now, let me just take, as if it's a palette with watercolors here, I'm coloring things in. Just fill in. So you said when you were little, there were good and bad things in life, like many of us have. How many were in your household? And just tell us what we can about your mom and dad. Who shaped you? Who shaped you the most? You know, anything you want to share about them. And then, and maybe if you're comfortable, fill in one of the goods you remember, but also give us a perspective about when you say the bads. What are you talking about?
Okay, I'll start with my father. He was like a soulmate in many ways. He taught me most of everything, so many things that I feel are true. When I was little, he would say, you could do anything you want to do, but you have got to put your body, your soul, and your spirit, your mind has got to go totally into it, because it's not just going to happen. You got to stick to it and hold to it.
What was his first name?
His first name was Zenon.
Yeah.
He was born in Poland, and during World War II, he was sent to Siberia.
Whoa.
When the Russians came in.
So he had wisdom. So keep going. Tell us more.
So he was sent to Siberia at the age of 10.
Oh my goodness.
With his 2-year-old brother and his mother. His father went to a political prison camp in Russia, and all because they would not deny God.
Yeah.
That's why they were sent.
Amazing.
And from there, when he got out, I mean, he would tell stories about being in that camp. Like he'd go, I'll just do one story, which is what they would do is put potatoes in the middle of a thing, and then all the prisoners were around the potatoes, but around them were machine guns.
Oh, goodness.
The dilemma was, you're starving, so you need to get the food. But if you go get the food, you're going to die by a machine gun. And my father, at the age of 10, said he waited till enough bodies were dead and he would crawl under the dead bodies to get the food.
Wow. I mean, let that sink in for a minute. I thank you, first of all, for sharing that story. What a powerful one. But man, I can't even put myself in that situation. It sounds like a movie. But what you told us just a minute ago about his outlook and how he, through the way he taught you can do anything and whatnot. What an incredible thing for a 10-year-old going through something like that, who his mindset could evolve to somebody who is so positive. That's incredible.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
Brilliant man.
Yeah.
And he definitely gave me a lot of my outlooks. Like I really did. When I would get frustrated that I couldn't do something, I would keep saying, I could do it. I could do anything. I could do anything.
I love it. That's a great mantra to have. Did you have brothers and sisters?
I had 2 brothers, one younger and one older.
Yeah. And so you said when things were going crazy in the house, you were sort of the peacekeeper. Tell us what you mean by that.
Well, my mom's moods would go way up and way down. She was one of 14. And at a very young age, she had a bit of a nervous breakdown. But now we're talking in the Depression where her father just carried her and put her to bed. You know, there was no real healing. Yeah. And so she carried that her whole life.
I see. Thank you for filling that in. So this is, as everybody in Plato's Garden here, we're weaving the story. So this is interesting to me because we're starting to hear about what shaped you and the 2 parents, you know, and how you were taught and raised. One of the things I wanted to share with you back that you said about, you know, we hear things or we take things in when we're little. I think you put it in that way, as if it's truth, right? You can't really see it, but I'm going to change the view on my screen. But you see, Theresa, behind me, behind the screen, looks like a brain.
Yes.
Yeah. Not everybody knows my story, but you may. In 2018, I fell on my head in a bathtub and had a brain injury. And it led me into serious, I shouldn't be here actually, but I started studying neuroscience and I had to go into therapy to walk straight, talk properly again, things like that. And I found my faith in God, prayed a lot. And I started learning about what you just told us in a different context. And that is when we're younger, up to about 25, we don't have the use of the frontal lobe, which is where we stop and we rationalize and think about things. So somebody told me that during my learning that, you know, everything everybody says about you, they call you stupid, they call you great. Your brain at that age takes it all in as truth. And it just all gets stored in there, and then it's all muddled. And later in life, it can hold you back or it can set you free. So thank you for teaching us that. Going back to the book now, I'm just going to read something else out to you here to talk about. The wind you talk about the wind a lot in the book, and it symbolizes, in my opinion, an unseen force that was guiding the sailboat. And so how can we cultivate that deeper trust in such intangible guidance in our lives, especially during turbulent times?
I think it takes time. But look how long I've been doing it, and it took a long time before I got to where I am. It is such a process, and there's no right speed to the process. It's your speed. And quite frankly, your ego, well, I call my ego Screaming Mimi.
Screaming Mimi?
Screaming Mimi. And boy,
I love it.
It doesn't like the direction I'm going because of what I'm learning or what I want to do. It screams pretty loud, and it tries to talk me out of things. You're not smart enough. You're this or you're that. You can't do this. You can't do that. And it screams so loud, and you just have to go, shh, got to be a little quieter. I'm going to do it anyway.
I love it. By the way, what's Mimi? Is it somebody you knew or just came up with that?
No, it just seemed to go together well. Actually, in the book, I have the lighthouse.
Yeah.
And the lighthouse is the pontoon boat and the lighthouse are people that were in my life that have shared much with me. And the lighthouse, I'm still involved with. He's a spirit. He's a healer. He's incredible. And he's out of Arizona, Sedona, Ron D'Amico. But he's the one that I heard the word Screaming Mimi for the first time. And I just adopted it.
That's fascinating. When did you first, so were you baptized or raised Catholic? You mentioned Catholic.
I was raised Catholic. And then, so after the retreat, I went back to Catholic because it's the one thing I knew. But I mean, I didn't know it, but I knew it as far as I had to go to church every Sunday. And through that, I met a nun who was the pontoon boat in this most beautiful nun. She was a mystic. And you'd walk in her house and she'd be praying, and you'd be in a room, and all of a sudden the room would be filled with the smell of roses. Like, wow. There were always supernatural things going on when she prayed. And though I am not Catholic anymore, and I know a lot of Catholics call themselves recovering Catholics, I would never call myself a recovering Catholic because I got so much out of that period in my life.
Wow. What was the name of the nun? Sister what?
Mother Charlotte.
Oh my goodness. That is so wonderful.
She really followed the will of God. She let the Spirit guide her.
Yep.
Even in places that she didn't even know what it meant, which is when I met her, she had a house and it was called the Agape House. And what the job at that house was, is people who joined, you prayed for priests that were molesting children.
Oh gosh.
To try, and you just kept pouring your love out, pouring your love out. Yeah. And she said, when she was called to this, she didn't even know what it meant.
Wow.
But she said yes, and she had to find out.
I see. So going back to childhood, so we're weaving through here, these different areas, macro, micro, meso. Your father, we know the Poland background and the war experience. We know your mom's, a bit about your mom. And it was faith. Did you find faith at that point in your life? So you were Catholic. Was it early on through your parents?
My father was very quiet about his spirituality.
Yeah.
So I don't really know where his spirituality was.
I see.
My mom was raised Polish national and became Catholic. Yeah. Which is so weird because it's sort of Catholic anyways. The differences in the Pope, very little differences.
Yeah.
But I never really knew where my father stood with all of it.
And what's your faith now?
My faith now is sort of no faith. I mean, all faith. I'd rather instead of no faith, all faith, because I truly believe when you study religions, the beginning of every religion, they're all about love, all of them. And then whether it's Catholic or other religions, man's egos and power and money came into it, and it went and then it wanted to control people to keep that money coming. But in my eyes, what the point of a church should be is that you can grow out of the church, because they're to teach you that you too are a church, so to speak. You are a vessel, and you could do a lot of the growing by listening to that internal voice that's within all of us.
Yeah, I really like that. In reading the book itself, again, everybody, we're with Theresa Contaxis, author of The Littlest Sailboat, A Journey of the Soul. That message comes out loud and clear. It's very, very clever. What was the moment you decided to write this book? What inspired you to do that?
Well, I was going to All Faith Seminary, and we had to do our last paper, and the paper was, what do you want your ministry to be? And that sort of freaked me out, because I was like, well, I'm not here for a ministry. I'm here because I wanted to learn about all the religions. I wanted to do this. It was important to me. So I panicked, and I called the head of the school, and I said, I have no idea what to write about. And she's the one that started questioning me. And I said, well, I'm sort of like a sailboat. I like to sail in and out of people's lives as I'm needed. And that's how this was born.
That's a beautiful metaphor. I love it. And just in terms of sailboats, I've been out on sailboats. I'm a Cancer in terms of my birth month. And if you believe in any of that, it doesn't matter. But I got to be by the water. I love being on the water. And there's something about reading your book that takes everybody. You got to get the book and read it. But it's the pictures in it that are painted about boats. There's just something really calming about it. There's something else that you told me in your story about why you're fit for this show. I'm just going to read this out. And we've covered some of it already. He says, in my younger years, I lived in a world that seemed filled with sadness. Everyone saw me smiling and laughing, but underneath I lived in sadness. So everybody, when you hear that, does this relate? I know to a lot of people, they're going like, that's kind of me. In my late 20s, I began to pray there had to be more to life than I was experiencing. I had beauty in my life and wonderful house, 2 children, many other wonderful things, but I lived inner sadness. And then slowly you moved into this world that looked different. So going back to the seminary, what year would that have been?
It was during COVID. So
okay, so not too long ago.
Classes from home.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So tell us more about the book, because people I want them to get it and read it, but tell us more about it and try to articulate a piece of the story if you can. Feel free to open it if you want to refer to it too.
Okay. Well, the reason it's a journey of the soul and not the soul is because it's everybody's journey. You know, I think we all have so much shame and guilt, so we don't always tell people what we're feeling.
Yeah.
You know, like, who wants to admit that they're jealous of somebody, or who wants to admit they're being greedy about something? And so instead they internalize it, and it turns into more shame, more guilt.
Yeah.
But the bottom line, it is one of an emotion that comes out from our ego base, and it's also from our lack of feeling worthy.
That's a big one.
I think a lot of times we push away from these things that we all have the ability to tap into, because we go, and I got to say, within the Catholic Church, it's very much like, oh, I'm not worthy. And some of that, I think, comes from reading about the saints and misinterpretation of what they were saying. Like Teresa the Little Flower would say, I'm small.
Yeah.
So then you go, oh, I'm so small. But that's not what she meant. She saw the glory of God and how big God was. She saw her littleness.
Yeah.
She saw the little child that she was.
Yeah.
Which is what we all are. We're not small as far as, oh, I'm so small, I'm not worth anything. No, you're worth everything.
Yeah.
You're worth everything. And so is everybody else. So, I love to say I'm highly favored, but there's nobody anywhere that is not highly favored.
You've touched me deeply with that comment. And audience, how about you? That comment about not worthy. And I was telling you a bit about my journey through this recovery from a serious concussion, and I had to go into mental health therapy because I slipped into depression, which comes with life changes, right? And I'm much better now. But it's funny, I took CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a course with the group. And one of the things they give you is a list of 7 what they call thinking tracks like on a record that can be unconsciously playing. And on that list is, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. And I think that I believe that one of the basic human needs is to feel loved and enough. And isn't it something what you just taught us, that for many of us, we can, for various reasons beyond ourselves, feel we're not worthy. There's a page in the book here, 43. I'll just throw this out. And while I'm doing this, can you maybe find a page you want to read to us?
Okay.
Everybody, this is inside the book. I love this part. It's almost like the story shifts here, Theresa. And it talks about, as I left the harbor, this is the boat, the wind suddenly changed direction. The trip home was gratifying, peaceful, and satisfying. All my senses were completely filled with joy. When I woke the next morning, I looked down at my hull, and the barnacle named selfishness had fallen off. Just tell me about that part of the book. What do you mean by that? It's really cool.
Well, I mean, the more you sit with that inner self, you don't even know it's happening. It's like you just start changing, and it's quiet and it's soft.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you realize, wow, maybe, okay, so there's so many, shopaholic, whatever, gambler, whatever. All of a sudden you're finding, wow, wait, I'm not doing that, because we reach outside of ourselves. We think what's going to make us happy is outside of us.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's inside. And then once you can tap into that, you slowly, things start falling away that don't matter anymore.
Yeah, you're living and breathing testament to that. You want to read something to us? Have you found even if it's just a couple pages?
Page of the book.
So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cue it up, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to full screen you, so when we produce this, it'll be you reading. That'll be really neat. So just stand by. I'll basically say 3, 2, 1, and then I'll be quiet, and that's your time to read. And then when you're finished, I'll kind of know that. So let me just set this up and full screen you. All right. Okay. So I think I'm going to do this. Hold on a second. What would it be like to have Theresa Contaxis read out of her book? Well, everyone, here she is. 3, 2, 1.
As all of us are part of the ocean, we are not alone. We not only have each other, we are part of each other. We're part of everything. I came into this life and experienced loneliness, and I have learned I'm not alone, but part of the all, just as you are. I have so many stories to share about the ocean and the love that is shared with me. I know the ocean and the wind will keep teaching me. This is not the end of my story. It's just the beginning. And there is so much more to discover along the way.
Just beautiful. Maybe interpret that. Is there something deeper meaning in there that you want people to get?
Everybody, we're not alone. And when we keep things to ourselves and hold things inside, it feels so alone. But when we share, like sharing this book is sharing not a part of me, but it's a part of everybody.
Yeah.
And maybe in somebody's case, for me, I felt lonely till I met the spirit. I met God, source, divine.
Yeah.
And I was never alone. I had a beautiful family, a beautiful life, but I needed something within me and not outside of me.
I see.
And when you find it, everything starts changing.
That's beautiful. There's a lady who illustrated the book itself, I think watercolor pictures. Who's that? Tell us about her, the relationship.
That's my daughter-in-law.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. What was her name again?
Jennifer Contaxis.
Hey, Jennifer, I'm cheering you on here. Beautiful, beautiful. By the way, Theresa, my wife just started. She's a career bank manager. She still works. She just started learning how to paint watercolor, and I watch her. I can't draw a stick man, but so just for the audience sake, so it can tease them to get this book, tell us about the illustrations. Show one if you want, but just anything you want.
The front cover from my side, I think it's there's the Littlest Sailboat. And then she had I talk about a pontoon boat and a lighthouse, and she has all of them within here. It's not picture. Oh, this is one where I talk about that we have seen and unseen friends. So being that under the water, we don't see them, but they're there helping us.
Let me full screen you on that. I want to show that. Just hold on. Just keep holding on to it. So say that again, what you said to us.
So I talked about on this page that we have a lot of unseen friends that are there helping us at all times. So this is what she chose to do because they live under the water, so they're unseen, but they come up and help you out.
Nice. So what we're seeing in the water there, what are those, whales or dolphins or things?
Whales, dolphins, but because I didn't want to do it from one religion or one aspect or one thought, because, some people, you say the word Jesus or God, and it's just like, oh, and that's, so I was trying to come about it without making it like angels or.
Yeah, that's so well done. And I for whatever reason, the watercolors land on me in a very calming, nice way. Versus,
well, I have to tell you, my daughter-in-law and I studied shamanism for 2 years together.
What is that?
Shaman, in Native American.
I see.
Medicine man, so to speak.
Okay, gotcha.
Shamanism. So she did it. It's called a journey, and it's once again you get in touch with your inner self. And she went on this inner journey, and she got that she was going to do 5 pictures. It was going to be in watercolors.
Oh, that's wonderful. I got to get my wife to watch his back, because here's why. I don't know if I told you, but I'm in my last year of a doctoral degree through university in London. And it's been very challenging because you may not know this, but I have double vision and some vision disability because of my concussion. So reading and whatnot, I've learned to use talk to self and all that kind of stuff. And I keep saying to Anna, my next book, because I do want to publish my next book from what I bring out of this, I want her to do these watercolor paintings. Now I'm going to show her your book and say, see how great that looks.
And maybe they're perfect for the book.
I think they're wonderful. In fact, I'm just going to present something on the screen here. So just hold on there, Theresa. For the audience, we're putting up something to look at. I think I'll put this here. Share. Can you see that there? It's your website.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, if you go to your website, even on the site, see, there's the pictures there. This would be her work too, right?
Yes.
Same. Yeah.
That was when I was in the storm fighting God.
Oh my goodness. Now this is an interesting image. What are we looking at here?
The night sky. I was out having a good time. So basically the book is saying I was just enjoying life, and I got to be night. And then I was lost a little bit, like what's next? Where am I going to go? And that's the lighthouse, and the light of the lighthouse drew me in, and that is Ron D'Amico.
Very cool. And I thought this was very clever because from my vantage point, it looks like a postcard there. And everyone, if you're on the podcast, when you listen, when we release this, you won't see that, but if watch the video version. So it looks to me like what you've done cleverly is there's a passage of text which describes the book, and then you're actually mailing this postcard, and you put the title of the book, and then the stamp is the actual image from in the book, which is so well done. Well done. So I'm going to take that off the screen. Everyone, it's TheresaContaxis.com. Pretty easy to remember. Put in the show notes. On your site, there's a couple other things too. Tell us what people will find on your website.
Well, I also have a blog, which I haven't written in it for like a year, and that's because I'm going through some inner growth again, and it's very important for me that when I write, it be very simple. Very simple words. Spirituality is not meant to be mind-blowing where you have to read it 35 times to get what it means. It's very, very simple. So TheresaContaxis.com is a lot of my earlier writings about things. I did sessions on the Beatitudes and having another thought about it.
Yeah.
Of how to look at it.
I am just going to add a picture to the screen. That's my inner studio camera. Wave to everybody. You can see I've got Theresa's book going on the desk here. But Theresa, I'm making notes madly on my pad of paper. And pardon me for being ignorant, but I mean, I kind of think of myself as dummy 101 when I interview people. If I don't know or understand something, I'll usually get ask you. So you say spirituality, and then I read in your bio somewhere, I think the word reverend. Just explain that, for those maybe younger people watching this. What does spirituality mean, and are you a reverend, and what does that mean?
I am a reverend. I'm a reverend of all faiths, so I can marry people. I could work with people with a lot of things. But that was, like I said, that was not my purpose in getting the degree. It was just learning.
Oh, okay. So you had to take a degree. When you mentioned seminary, that's where you went to
Yes.
learn, and then you got a degree. Okay. Spirituality, I know, is a big topic. If I threw it into my AI search engine, it would give me tons of. But just help us with that. What are you talking about?
For me, the people who published the book, the reason they actually do a lot of psychology books.
Yeah.
And they really felt that this book was also just basic psychology, which I think spirituality is very simple. It's about leading a good life, but not because my mom said I had to, or my dad said I had to, or I want to impress this person, or I want to impress that person.
Yeah.
It's just being authentic to yourself. And that's really hard. Shakespeare's saying all the different stages, or however he said it. Really, the goal is to be the same person no matter who you're in front of. Like when you are with a group of people, do you act more like theatrical with them because it's appropriate and you'll get more pats on your back with that behavior? Yeah. But instead, to walk into every situation and wanting to be authentic, that means in all your roles that you go into, you are, no matter what role you walk into, anybody from anywhere else in your life walk in and go, that's her.
See, I really like that. Just want to riff with you on that because everybody, this is storytelling back and forth. You evoked in my mind the identity, and from my background coming from business, another word, congruence. So there's a lot of people I met, including myself at one point in my life, Theresa, where you show up to work and you're sort of one way, and then you go home and you're another way. And I remember being told once by a coach saying that, if you're this way, show up always like that, because otherwise people can't get to know you. And then there's another piece of it that if you have this sense that you taught us about not being worthy enough, there's a lot there, right? If I don't feel worthy enough and good about myself, sometimes I've read that we put on masks or we put on personas to try to be something we're not. How does one, in your humble opinion, how does one get feedback? If you're not being yourself or congruent in all areas, what's the process you go through that you did to get feedback on that? Because you don't really see yourself, right?
I'll do my most recent one where I went, whoa, that's not me.
Okay. Please.
I happened to be with some people that were more in theater, and that's why I brought up being theatrical. I found myself in front of them being different than who I am. I am very much out there and I love theater and stuff, but I only brought a part of myself into that, because that part was going to be accepted. But who cares?
Sorry, I have to just peel it open a bit more. So what was that part? Describe it. Like, what did you bring? And that was that part of you.
It was just the actress showed up. I'm going to say the actress showed up.
Gotcha.
And you can name all your characters. There, Queenie can show up, or
or Mimi. Screaming Mimi can show up too.
Screaming Mimi can show up, and let's face it, Eeyore can show up.
Yeah.
Woe is me. Somebody's always gonna blame the donkey.
That was pretty good. So a part of you showed up, and then you were involved in some acting or this theater.
And I wasn't acting. I was just with them for this little bit of time.
Oh, okay.
But what they saw is that character that was in me sort of separating my whole to be that person instead of my whole self, my authentic self, which is the only one that anybody should ever see. And when you're doing something else, and I get why it happens, the one thing I want to share everything, but I am not saying I would never want to be up on a pedestal or anything, because I'm no different than anybody else. Maybe I have certain knowledge, but you know what? Everybody could teach me something too.
For sure.
We learn together.
This is very, very insightful. Everybody, we're learning from Theresa Contaxis, the author of the book, The Littlest Sailboat. Hold it up again there. One more plug for it. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for holding that
I
up.
just want to go back for a second.
Please
Like I
do.
said, everybody is just as important. I went into a grocery store about a year ago, and I probably early 20s, somebody who is very challenged, right? He packed my bags, and now here I'm in line, and I'm feeling I'm in a hurry. I got to get going. So I'm getting annoyed with how slow the things are being packed, and I just want to pack myself, but I don't, because I could see that's his job, right? And then he looks at me with a big smile after it was all done, and he said, "Can I help you take this to the car? I would love to help you."
What a
And
nice
I
guy.
went, "Whoa, did you just teach me a lesson?" Because here I was like, gotta go. And instead, here was this young man just being joyous and wanting to help.
Thank you for sharing that. I can see that in the part that stood out was when you described him with the big smile. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it was such a moment for me.
Yeah, that's wonderful. There you go, everybody. I got to shop at your grocery store. You got to get me over to whoever that was, because there's some grumpy people in my store. I want to go back
Give him
to
a big smile and don't let him be grumpy.
That's right. So we've covered many things in different areas in Plato's Garden. You know, the micro you, the mezzo, sort of your author work, your sector, your teaching, and then I want to just throw something out about the global piece, right? So I'll just throw this out and see if we can talk for a minute on it. So the Littlest Sailboat to me speaks of universal truths, this interconnectedness. You talk about love, etc., and acceptance. How do you think these resonate with the collective challenges we see in the world today?
Well, that more important that we all start living it. It's sort of like and the reason I chose all faiths is it was even hard being in the Agape house. That was where Mother Charlotte was, where I would hear people go, "Oh my God, my kid's getting married and it's a Protestant." And I'm thinking, well, what's the big deal? All right. I couldn't understand what the big deal was. And then you see people, I heard stories about people trying to get married where one was a Muslim and one was a Christian, and none of the parents would even go to the wedding.
Wow.
And look at our political system in the United States. If we can all come to the table and not come to the table saying, "I'm right, you're wrong," but let me learn about you and let's see what you do right and pull that in. Let's see what I need to let go of. It's like a little kid at a toy chest, he's 2 years old and he loves this toy, but when he's 4 years old, he doesn't want that toy anymore. He wants a new toy, a toy that better fits where he's at.
I like
think
that.
It's time for all of us to get rid of our old toys and get some new toys.
I like that. What a great metaphor. Get rid of our toys, get some new toys. So many things you taught us there. Just riffing back on you, that this thing about identity politics, they call it. But I absolutely despise that and it's not just your country, but it's everywhere when we label people. I'm Canadian, so we talk about our people as Canadian. I don't like somebody calling me brown, or I'm not Hispanic. I'm South Asian. That's kind of the bucket they put me in. So I don't like that. I don't like political stripes. We have 3 political parties up here, but I certainly don't sit down with somebody over coffee and refer to them as a liberal or a conservative. It's just stupid. And it's exactly what you said. It's when we were born, we were people, we were human beings. And the other thing that you taught me, and I really believe in this, Theresa, is that it's like a dance. You can't learn, or there's a saying, I learned this in my research for my doctoral, that the more I learn about you and your story, the more I learn about myself. And so finding who you really are comes through human connection with somebody else. And you can't do it by yourself. I think that's one of the beautiful things about, the book that you've sent me, is that when I read this, I connect to your thoughts, I connect to your story. And so I will give you one more question just for fun, and then I have something to surprise you with here. Are you having fun?
I am. I always do. I love sharing with people.
Okay, great. So this one, I've started something new, and I'm going to probably pilot a podcast, a new segment after I finish my university work. My professor and I have been talking about this, and I might title it "Book Unwritten." And so I'll throw this out and just talk anything that comes to mind. So if there's a book within you that you haven't written yet, and there was no barriers to doing it, and something that could impact the world, whatever you're thinking about, a futurist mindset about the world, what would that be about?
I would actually like to do a book where I interview a lot of people that have been on the journey. And this started from actually one of my kids who said, it's like I don't know myself anymore.
Mhm.
Everything is changing. And that, to me, from a Catholic perspective, is the dark night of the soul, which is really should be called the dark night of the ego, because the ego's starting to die and you're starting to see things in bigger things. So I thought, okay, people know about some huge gurus and how they've changed their lives and how their journey was. But I would like to do a book where I have a couple of those, but with people that the ice cream man that works down the road, but he gives ice cream every day with such love because he started his journey. So everything he does with love. It's sort of like your grandmother. When grandmas cook, the food always tastes good. It's because they put their love into it.
They do. Now you're making me think of my grandmother and the food. I'm hungry. That is an awesome idea for a book. And, I'm going to throw myself as a volunteer if you ever want to interview somebody about that's come through your path. I think we were put here for a reason. You may not know, but I was born and raised, or I was baptized Catholic when I was younger.
Oh, I didn't.
My daughter, she's my only daughter. She's 27. We put her in private girls' school, so a Little Flower Academy, etc. And what's interesting is through that, my dad was born in Fiji Islands, and he passed away in 2018. I miss him, but he was the weirdest thing. He was a Hindu, but he became Mormon. Then he got in the army, and unfortunately, he started drinking too much there. And then when I came to Canada, my mom baptized me Catholic. So I was always confused, and it's refreshing to talk to you as a reverend and somebody who studies and teaches spirituality. It's really refreshing to hear, because I get confused trying to figure out different faiths, Muslim, this and that. It doesn't matter. The last thing I want to share with you, which hopefully will inspire you a bit about me, is that I grew up, as I said, my dad left home when I was 12, or I may not have said that, but people who've read my story knows that. And he was a chronic alcoholic. So my life was addiction, or he was. Mom and dad divorced, etc. I had two brothers who are still with us. And you know what? Growing up, my dad had all his great points. He was a great man. And I learned that later. But one thing I didn't learn because I was too young is how to love people, how to treat people well, how to forgive. And so I guess where I learned that, the Bible, it's behind me here on my thing. But, Theresa, I just simplify the Bible. It's a bunch of books that were written about the life with Jesus Christ. If I'm talking about, the Holy Bible here. Yeah. And when I read the word, they call it walking in faith or walking in the word. I never knew all that, right? Because I'm pretty straightforward. Like, what are you talking about walking in the word? But that's what I've gotten from the Bible. And when I have my down moments or I struggle in life with relating to people or a situation with my wife, I'll pick it up and I'll find a passage. I'll read it. And it teaches me how to be a better person. That's what my faith is.
One of the lines in the Bible that I had such difficulties with, and now I don't, because I thought it was a crazy line, pray unceasingly. And I'm thinking, how can you pray unceasingly? It doesn't make any sense that you can do this 24/7. And I've come to realize, I should say what it means to me, is that when you're living from your heart at all times, not your physical heart, but that spot within us that is divine, that we all are, because we're divine. I see. When you live from that space, you're connected. So you're praying at all times.
See, I like that. Thank you for sharing that. That's huge. That's huge. You had me go back in my mind on a journey again to early years going to church. And I never forget it. We had this one church. I used to take my daughter and Father Rossi, God bless him. but he just stood up there and they were, and the way they were talking, like God's angry and everything was so complicated. And nobody can ever read the Bible anyway and understand it because the way it's written, it's hard sometimes. But I find the best people I meet, like yourself, who can take what was written and without changing the meaning, speak my language and teach me it. Even if it's one paragraph and you spend an hour, what you just said there, it's awesome. So are you ready to be surprised? I have a little surprise for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going to share a screen here. So while I'm doing that, just stand by there. I am, let me just go back here to here, and I'm going to just remove that. Okay, so a little drum roll here. Thank you. So I'm revealing your first 5-star international review that I posted on Amazon for your book. Okay.
Thank you.
And of course, I'm looking around for it because I'm going to have to read it off the screen. I had printed it because the print's bigger for my eyes, but let me put it on the screen. And then I'm just going to read it to you. So I'm revealing it. It just got approved by Amazon. So to find it, you have to go to amazon.ca because that's the Canadian part of Amazon, but it all aggregates. But anyway, I'll send it to you in a copy. I'm going to actually read it off my screen in a bigger way. So just tell me, can you still see it there?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody, here goes. 5-star review, January 16th. It's titled A Soulful Journey, Navigating Life's Oceans with Grace. This is about the book that we've been talking about. Theresa Contaxis has crafted a heartwarming and deeply reflective masterpiece with The Littlest Sailboat, A Journey of the Soul. This isn't just a story, it's a mirror for anyone who has ever faced self-doubt, struggled to find their purpose, or felt weighed down by life's challenges. Through the metaphor of a small, humble sailboat yearning for significance, Theresa invites readers on a voyage of self-discovery and spiritual awakening. From the first page, I was drawn into this sailboat's world, where these barnacles symbolized unresolved emotions, and the wind represents the guiding force of spirit. The journey is both playful and profound, offering moments of tender insight that resonate deeply. So whether it's learning to embrace our unique path or realizing the beauty of surrendering to life's currents, this book gently reminds us that our greatest treasures often lie within. What truly sets The Littlest Sailboat apart is its universal appeal. The simple yet powerful language speaks to readers of all ages, and stunning watercolors, illustrations by Jennifer Contaxis, added a visual charm that makes the story even more memorable. It's a quick read, yet its lessons linger long after you've turned the last page. I found myself reflecting on many barnacles I've carried and how releasing them can lead to a lighter, brighter existence. This is the kind of book you'll want to gift to friends, revisit when life feels overwhelming. It's a gentle reminder of the strength and beauty we all possess. Theresa Contaxis doesn't just tell a story. She opens a door to a transformative experience. And if you're searching for a meaningful, soul-stirring read, The Littlest Sailboat will guide you to calmer seas and greater self-love. Must read for anyone navigating the waves of life. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So it is up there, and I will send you the printed copy on a Word document, and I'll send you the link from Amazon, so feel free to embed it in your website, whatever. But everybody, I'm going to do a shout out once again. Theresa, hold up the book there so we can see it. Tell everybody where we can get that book.
Well, Amazon, and you could get it at ipbooks.com.
Yep.
That
Okay.
is the publisher.
Great. And tell us where people can get a hold of you or connect with you, read your blogs, all those things, anything at all you want to share.
Okay. I love to share. I'd love to write. So teresacontaxis.com is my blog. You can look in there, and if you want to reach out to me, I will answer you.
I know you will, because you answered me. You're a wonderful human being. There was a little fun story between us. We're trying to get the book up here to Canada, and you did some amazing things, even Plan B, try to get it copied for me. And I just love you and your story, and to all those involved with the book and your life, keep doing what you're doing. And so thank you for being here, and we'll definitely have you back again to learn more.
Thank you for having me. You have a
You're
beautiful day.
You're welcome. Oh, See that? I got so caught up in that beautiful review, I forgot the last part. You're getting an award. Did you know that? Oh gosh.
No.
Okay, I'm going to put my other camera. People see me do this. So when I started the show, I created an award, and because the people coming through here are unique, I wanted something that would be for people who are like the 1% in my mind in the world, who take something in their life and turn it into something good and then make an impact. So this is a challenge coin. Have you heard of challenge coins?
No.
Okay, these were started in World War II, and soldiers would carry them in their pockets to commit to each other, community. And it comes in a little package, so it gives a definition. It's hand painted and crafted. The front of it is the show logo, as you can see, and there's a little guy on that, looks like me. But the back is, I'm biased, obviously. This is the hero's journey narrative from Joseph Campbell's work, which is the show, what it's based on, the storytelling. It's so intricate and detailed. And we're inducting you into the Quiet Warrior community as of right now. So welcome to the community.
Oh my God, thank you. I feel so honored. That's amazing.
I love the emotion. That's the best part for me. Now, this will come to you. I'll get your address offline. What I ask is if you could take a picture with it somewhere that's meaningful. I have this collection growing of Quiet Warriors around the world, and there's some really nice pictures I get. So we'll get that out to you as soon as I can. And on that, and so thank you very much. And everybody, find that true passion and purpose, like you've seen here from Theresa Contaxis, and live that life that you deserve and desire. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Quiet Warrior Show. Thank you again, Theresa.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to the Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca.
Okay, let me take us offline here. We're still live. Actually, they can